Hi, so most of you may know that I used to teach in seminary to high school students the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I no longer have that opportunity as my full time career, but I still very much love teaching Jesus Christ gospel. And I absolutely love interacting with teenagers and other people who have questions, who sincerely want to get closer to the Savior, but who might not know exactly how or just want to increase their faith. And I love studying the scriptures and the gospel. And I thought that I might use Instagram as a way to fill my cup and share the gospel with people and help answer questions that others might have, and hopefully bring you a little bit of uplift in your day, and maybe even answer a question or two that you've had. So today I wanted to talk just for a second about faith. When I was really young, I struggled a little bit to understand what faith was. I wasn't sure if it was something you were born with or if it was something that you actually got from God after praying for it. I wasn't sure exactly how to increase my faith. And then as I studied and continued to learn in the gospel, came to realize and to know, as Joseph Smith said, that faith is a principle of action and it's a principle of power. And let me demonstrate. As you exercise faith, and if you have faith, then you'll act, you'll do something about it. It's kind of like belief, but a little bit more powerful than belief. It's acting on belief. And so it's a principle of action, but it's also a principle of power, because as we act in faith, it brings greater power and greater faith to us. Elder Bednar often refers to the story of the Israelites. After wandering in the desert for 40 years, they finally approached the Jordan River. And they're the priests standing right on the shore of the Jordan River, and they need to cross in order to get into the promised land. And they don't know what to do. And the Lord did not part the waters for them until the priests stood ankle deep inside the river. Once they had demonstrated enough trust and enough faith in the Lord, and they had acted enough that the Lord saw their faith, he was able then to bless them with a miracle. He parted the waters, they crossed through on dry ground, just as they did 40 years earlier with the Red Sea. Their parents had done it 40 years earlier in the Red Sea. And here they now have the blessing of being able to enter the promised land, but even more, they now have increased faith. In the scriptures we read that faith is evidence of things not seen. So something they didn't see before, they've now seen. Looking back, they saw a miracle. The waters had parted. And so this evidence now brings greater faith. They know, in a way they didn't know before, that God can do things that they can't see and that they hadn't seen previous to this. And so as we act in faith, we receive greater faith and greater power. And it's kind of a helix that spirals up. As you exercise more faith, your faith increases. As you exercise greater faith, you're blessed with greater faith. And I was looking at this principle in a talk that President Russell M. Nelson gave in the April conference of 2021, just a few weeks ago. And his talk is titled, "Christ is Risen, and Faith in Him Will Move Mountains." This is one of the lines from his talk. He said, "Act in faith." Now, that might seem simple, but listen to what he said next. What would you do if you had more faith? Think about it. Write about it. And I stopped and thought, okay, what would I do if I had more faith? And a couple of thoughts came to my mind. Maybe I would write in my journal every single day. Maybe if I had more faith, when the temples open back up, I'll go a lot more than I did before they closed. Perhaps if I had more faith, I would trust the Lord a little bit more and stop trusting in myself and maybe do the things that he's asked me to do a little bit more diligently and a little better, and I'd give my heart to him a little more. And as I thought about all of these things, I had a huge list of things that I would do if I had more faith than I do today. Think about that. What would you do if you had more faith? The next part of his talk says this: then, after you've thought about this and written about this, then receive more faith by doing something that requires more faith. Isn't that fascinating? As we stand in our life right now, all of us are on the edge of a Jordan River. And across that river stands a blessing we all need to receive. And it could be anything, but something that you need and I need in our life is standing right on the other side of that river. And we need it in order to survive spiritually in the chaotic and messy and confused world that we live in. And yet the only thing stopping us from getting it isn't waiting on the Lord, but perhaps it's our faith. Perhaps the Lord is waiting for us to demonstrate enough trust in him to show that we will stand in the middle of that river, even though the water is cold and it runs quickly and it might knock us down, but we're going to faithfully stand in that river until he opens it up, and then he will. I just think it's a great principle. It's something I want to think about a lot more as I continue my journey toward the Savior and my survival in this world. I hope that you were able to learn something from this or feel something as you listen to these words. If you have a question about a church history topic or an event in the history of the church or from the scriptures or anything else, shoot me a DM and maybe we can address that question and help answer it and find some resources to help guide our thoughts in one of these next videos. I hope you have an awesome day.